أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين. لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون. فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين. Now we've reached Surat At-Teen, the fig. Makkiyah, it's a Meccan surah. وهي ثمان آيات. It is 8 verses. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Wat-Tini waz-Zaytun. By the fig and by the olive. أقسم بهما لأنهما عجيبان من بين الأشجار المثمرة. Allah swore by these two because they are peculiar amongst the fruit-bearing trees. وعن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما, and it was reported from Ibn Abbas, may Allah accept his and his father's deeds. هو تينكم هذا وزيتونكم هذا. This refers to the fig and the olive that you know. وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ, by the fig and by the olive. وَقِيلَ هُمَا جَبَلَانِ بِالشَّامِ, and it was said that what's meant by the teen and at-teen and az-zaytun is 2 mountains, both of which are in the Levant. Manbitahuma, those 2 mountains are where the figs and the olives grow. وَطُورِ سِينِينَ, and by Mount Sinai. أُضِيفَ الطُّورُ وَهُوَ الْجَبَلُ إِلَى سِينِينَ وَهِيَ الْبُقْعَةُ. Sinin, which I translated as Sinai, that's an area. وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ, and by this safeguarding town. Meaning Mecca. Min ummin ar-rajulu amanatan. You would say in Arabic this sentence that I just read for you, and it means the man was entrusted with something for safekeeping. Ummin ar-rajulu amanatan. The man was entrusted with something for safekeeping. Fahuwa amin, and therefore he is described as an amin. So amin here means a safeguard. Someone might think means trustworthy or just safe. Means safe, means though protector, safeguarding, the one that is protecting something. وَأَمَانَتُهُ أَنَّهُ يَحْفَظُ مَنْ دَخَلَهُ. So what is this town safeguarding? وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ. This, and by this safeguarding town of Mecca. What it safeguards is whoever enters. كما يحفظ الأمين ما يؤتمن عليه, just as an entrusted one guards whatever was put into his care. ومعنى القسم بهذه الأشياء, and the meaning of swearing by these things, والتين والزيتون, by the fig and by the olive, وطور سينين, and by the mountain of Sinai, وهذا البلد الأمين, and by this safeguarding town of Mecca. What's the meaning of swearing by these things? Al-ibanatu an sharaf al-biqa'i al-mubarakah, clarifying the nobility of blessed spots, showing that blessed areas are noble. وَمَا ظَهَرَ فِيهَا مِنَ الْخَيْرِ وَالْبَرَكَةِ, and clarifying what appears in, or appeared, what appeared in those noble blessed spots. بِسُكْنَ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ وَالْأَوْلِيَاءِ, because of being the abodes of, or because of being the abodes of prophets and saints. Those spots are blessed because of being the abodes of prophets and saints. And the land of Hashem is a blessed land. Contrary to what people would say, like if someone would talk about the Middle East, they'd say that's a place of turmoil, that's a place of warfare, that's a place of centuries and centuries of religious war and things like that. That's a blessed place because that's the place of the prophets, the Sham. And despite the tribulations that are there, that's a blessed area. And there will always be saints there in the Sham. There will always be saints there in the Levant. فَمَنْبِتُ التِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ مُهَاجَرُ إِبْرَاهِيمِ, where the fig and the olive grows, that's where Abraham migrated. وَمَوْلِدُ عِيسَى, and that's where Jesus was born. وَمَنْشَأُهُ, and that's where he grew up. وَالطُّورُ الْمَكَانُ الَّذِي نُودِيَ مِنْهُ مُوسَى, and the mountain is the place where Moses was summoned. وَمَكَّةُ مَكَانُ الْبَيْتِ الَّذِي هُوَ هُدًى لِلْعَالَمِينَ, and Mecca is the place of the holy house that is guidance for the creations. وَمَوْلِدُ نَبِيِّنَا, and that's the birthplace of our prophets. وَمَبْعَثُهُ, and that's where he was dispatched. صَلَوَاتُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. So An-Nasafiyy saying this is the significance of swearing by these things. أو الأولان قسم بمهبط أو مهبط الوحي على عيسى, or the first two are a swear by the place where revelation came upon Jesus. وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ, by the fig and the olive, where Jesus received revelation. وَالثَّالِثُ عَلَى مُوسَى, and the third thing is where revelation came upon Moses. وَطُورِ سِينِينَ, and by Mount Sinai. وَالرَّابِعُ عَلَى مُحَمَّدٍ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامُ, and the fourth is where Muhammad received the revelation. وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ, and this safeguarding town. And what's being sworn about? وَجَوَابُ الْقَسَمِ لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We have indeed created the human, meaning that type of creature, in the best form, with the best form. في أحسن تعديل لشكله. We gave the human being a superior shape. وصورته وتسوية أعضائه. We gave him the fairest image and proportionate organs. Yani, look how Allah gave us legs and arms and fingers and toes and elbows and wrists, etc. ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين. Then we will refer him back or return him back or make him go to be let me look up this word radda really quick here. I know what radda means, but maybe there's some nuance to the translation there. So let me see here. Bismillah. I'm going to look in Mukhtar. Ra, dal, dal. Raddahu an wajhihi yarudduhu. Turn. Sarafahu. You turned him. Radda, turned him. We turned him. Okay. So that's fine. Alhamdulillah. That helped me. So, ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ. Then we turn him to the lowest of the low. أي ثم كان عاقبة أمره حين لم يشكر نعمة تلك الخلقة الحسنة القويمة السوية. Meaning, then the outcome of the human's matter when he did not appreciate the endowment of that nice, straight form. أَرَّدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ مَنْ سَفُلْ, is that we will turn him to the lowest of the low. خَلْقًا وَتَرْكِيبًا, in terms of his form. يعني أقبح من قبح صورة, meaning we will make that one who did not appreciate the endowment of the form that he was given, we will give him the ugliest of forms. وَهُمْ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ, that refers to the people of hell. Allah will put him in hell where he will be in very bad shape. أو أسفل من سفل من أهل الدركات, or it means the lowest of the low in levels. Low levels. I'm not positive what he means by Ahli Darakat here. Hellfire is Darakat, has levels. So the Daraka as opposed to the Daraja. Daraja is a level 2, but Daraja is a level up. The Daraka is the level down. إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ فِي الدَّرْكِ الْأَسْفَلِ مِنَ النَّارِ. The hypocrites will be in ad-dark al-asfal, the lowest level. So what does he mean by levels here? He means the levels of hellfire, or he means something else? I don't know. But this is one way of explaining this ayah, which is ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ. Then we will turn him to the lowest of the low. So, وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ, by the fig and by the olive. وَطُورِ سِينِينَ, and by Mount Sinai. وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ, and by this safeguarding town. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We have indeed created the human in the best of forms. And when he does not appreciate the endowment of his Lord, who gave him that good form, ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ, then we will turn him to the lowest of the low. We will make him, yani, Nasafiyy says, either it means, basically what he's saying is, if this refers to him being a kafir, then it means Allah Ta'ala will deform him or give him very ugly form in hell, the ugliest of forms. Or it means he will be amongst the people of the low levels. أو ثم رددناه بعد ذلك التقويم والتحسين أسفل من سفل. Or this means, يعني, or this is not in reference to him being a disbeliever, and then he will be having, and it won't be in reference to him being a disbeliever. Another way to explain it, rather, is that it refers still to his physical form. So basically, the first way we just explained it, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We have indeed created the human in the best form. So that's about his form. ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ. Then we will turn him to the lowest of the low. And according to the first tafsir we just mentioned, this is hinting at his blasphemy and what Allah will do to him. But according to another tafsir, still talking about his form. So it would mean, then we will turn him to the lowest of the low, meaning after having that straight, nice form, we will make him turn to the lowest of the low in terms of form, وَالشَّكْل, and shape. حَيْثُ نَكَّسْنَاهُ فِي خَلْقِهِ, by reversing his process. فَقُوِّسَ ظَهْرُهُ بَعْدَ اعْتِدَالِهِ, so then his back will bend after it was straight. وَابْيَضَّ شَعَرُهُ بَعْدَ سَوَادِهِ, and his hair will whiten after it was black. وَتَشَنَّنَ جِلْدُهُ, and his skin will deteriorate. وَكَلَّ سَمْعُهُ وَبَصَرُهُ, and his hearing and sight will exhaust. They will get dimmer. وَتَغَيَّرَ كُلُّ شَيْءٍ مِّنْهُ, and everything about him will change. فَمَشْيُهُ دَلِيفٌ, his walking will become shuffling. وَصَوْتُهُ خُفَاتٌ, and his voice will become a whisper. وَقُوَّتُهُ ضَعْفٌ, and his strength will become weakness. وَشَهَامَتُهُ خَرَفٌ, and his toughness will deteriorate. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, except those who believed and did righteous deeds. فَلَهُمْ أَجْرٌ غَيْرُ مَمْنُونٍ, they shall have a reward unending. ودخل الفاء هنا دون سورة الانشقاق للجمع بين اللغتين. And here in this surah, there's a fa that doesn't appear in Surah Al-Inshiqaq, because in Surah Al-Inshiqaq, Allah also says, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, but then says, لَهُمْ أَجْرٌ غَيْرُ مَمْنُونَ, without fa. So An-Nasafiyy says, the fa is here, and it's not in Surah Al-Inshiqaq, so that both ways of saying that will be in the Quran. لِلْجَمْعِ بَيْنَ اللُّغَتَيْنِ, putting both of those ways into the Quran, revealing both of them in the Quran. Meaning you can say it with the fa or without the fa, and it was revealed both ways in the Quran. وَالِاسْتِثْنَاءُ عَلَى الْأَوَّلِ مُتَّصِلٌ وَعَلَى الثَّانِي مُنْقَطِعٌ. So, if the previous ayah was hinting at the human being being a disbeliever, yani the disbelieving human being, that one that had the endowment of the best form, then the meaning is لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We have indeed created the human in the best form. But when that human does not appreciate the endowment of his Lord, that one who gave him that form, ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ, we will turn him to the lowest of the low by giving him the ugliest form in hell and giving him or putting him in the lowest levels, making him be in the lowest levels. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, except those humans who believe and did good deeds. That won't be their case. فَلَهُمْ أَجْرٌ غَيْرُ مَمْنُونَ, then they shall have a reward unending. So if you explain it that way, then illa here, except, is, let me say, a regular exception. Yani, Allah created the human in the best of forms. Then he will turn him to the lowest of the low, except those who believed and did righteous deeds. They won't be in that case of having the ugliest forms in hell and being in the lowest levels. But what about if it's the other meaning, the meaning of still talking about his form and not hinting at if he's a believer or a kafir? Then ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ, then we shall turn him to the lowest of the low. Even a believer? Yes, even a believer, Allah would make his back bend and make his skin deteriorate and make his toughness go away. So then what's the meaning of إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ? Because illa looks like it means except. So if it's this meaning, then illa here means lacking. However, not except, not excluding, rather. However, so that's called istithna munqati'. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. However, so Allah will make him turn to the lowest of the low and make him degenerate. However, those who believed and did righteous deeds, فَلَهُمْ أَجْرٌ غَيْرُ مَمْنُونٍ. They shall have a reward that is unending. أي لكن الذين كانوا صالحين من الهرم والزمن, meaning those who were pious amongst the elders and the chronically ill, فلهم ثواب غير منقطع على طاعتهم وصبرهم على الابتلاء. They shall have a reward that is unending for their obedience and their patience with the calamity. Which calamity? بالشيخوخة والهرم, the calamity of older age and being seniors. Very old and very old. وعلى مقاسات المشاق, and for dealing with the difficulties. والقيام بالعبادة, and still observing the worships. والخطاب في فما يكذبك بعد بالدين. So then the next ayah. So the next ayah is addressing someone. That someone is you. YOU, which is anta, that's singular. So who's you? فَمَا يُكَذِّبُكَ بَعْدُ بِالدِّينِ. Depending on who you is, then you're going to explain this. And as far as the translation is concerned, it's going to be translated one way or another way. So An-Nasafiyy says, وَالْخِطَابُ في هذه الآية للإنسان على طريقة الالتفات. He said, who's being addressed here is the human. The human is being addressed here, and the style that's being employed, the linguistic style that's being employed, is shifting the pronoun. A shift in the pronoun. Meaning, the surah starts, وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ, by the fig and the olive. وَطُورِ سِينِينَ, and by Mount Sinai. Allah swears. وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ, and by this safeguarding town. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We have indeed created the human in the best form. That's what would be called third person as far as the pronoun. Meaning, the one being spoken about. The human is the one being spoken about, not spoken to. So you'd say he, because you're talking about him. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We created him, the human, the one that's being spoken about in the best form. So then what about here where we are now? فَمَا يُكَذِّبُكَ بَعْدُ بِالدِّينِ. If the one being addressed here, so you, whoever this you is, if this you who's being addressed here is the human, that means then the pronoun shift from he, the one being spoken about, to you, the one being spoken to. That human, you, human, فَمَا يُكَذِّبُكَ بَعْدُ بِالدِّينِ. So what makes you belie after this? The deen. أي فما سبب تكذيبك بعد هذا البيان القاطع, meaning what's the reason for your being contrary, O human, your belying after this decisive clarity, والبرهان الساطع, and this يعني supreme argument, I don't know, يعني بالجزاء, about يعني what makes you belie this decisive clarification and supreme argument? What makes you belie the recompense, yani judgment? What makes you belie judgment after this? Oh, you human, who's created in the best of forms. والمعنى أن خلق الإنسان من نطفة. The meaning is that the human being created from a zygote. Zygote means the fluid of the man and the woman fuse and settle in the womb. It's not just the fluid of the man. The human being created from a zygote, وَتَقْوِيمَهُ بَشَرًا, and then being transformed from that into a human, سَوِيًّا, يعني a straight human. وَتَدْرِيجَهُ فِي مَرَاتِبِ الزِّيَادَةِ, and for him to go through development and stages. إِلَى أَنْ يَكْمُلَ وَيَسْتَوِي, until he's complete and mature. ثُمَّ تَنْكِيسَهُ, and then for that to be reversed. إِلَى أَنْ يَبْلُغَ أَرْذَلَ الْعُمُرِ, until he reaches the most decrepit of age. لا ترى دليلا أوضح منه على قدرة الخالق. You would not find a more clear evidence for the power of the Creator than that. وأن من قدر على خلق الإنسان, and that whoever had the power to create the human, وعلى هذا كله, and whoever has the power over all of this, لم يعجز عن إعادته, he would not be unable to restore the human, to resurrect him. فما سبب تكذيبك بالجزاء. So what makes you, human, deny judgment? But there's another way to explain that. If you here is the messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, فَمَا يُكَذِّبُكَ بَعْدُ بِالدِّينِ. So what belies you after this about the religion, O Muhammad? Yani who? Who belies you after this about religion, O Muhammad? أو لرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. أي فمن ينسبك إلى الكذب بعد هذا الدليل, meaning who would attribute a lie to you after this evidence, O Muhammad? فما بمعنى من. And so ma here, that would appear to mean what? It means who. We talked about that before. Surat Shams. وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا جَلَّاهَا وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَاهَا. Here, وَالسَّمَاءِ وَمَا بَنَاهَا, by the sky and by what built it, meaning who. وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا طَحَاهَا, and by the earth and what leveled it, meaning who. So we did that surah already. So we saw ma meaning men. So that's what Nasafiyy is saying here. فَمَا يُكَذِّبُكَ بَعْدُ بِالدِّينِ. If you hears for the Prophet, then ma means men. So what belies you after this about the religion, O Muhammad? Meaning who? أَلَيْسَ اللَّهُ بِأَحْكَمِ الْحَاكِمِينَ. Is Allah not the best of judges? وَعِيدٌ لِلْكُفَّارِ. That's a threat for the blasphemers. وَأَنَّهُ يَحْكُمُ عَلَيْهِمْ بِمَا هُمْ أَهْلُهُ. And that he shall judge them with what they deserve. وَهُوَ مِنَ الْحُكْمِ وَالْقَضَاءِ. I'm not sure what he means by that. Wallahu a'lam, and Allah knows best.